welcome to Cyprus, Mr. Persson. Welcome to Cyprus News Agency. You're the president of Business Europe. What are the biggest challenges European businesses face today?
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. And just for starters, just to set the frame, maybe a short word about Business Europe. So Business Europe consists of 42 federations across 36 European nations, representing some 25 million businesses across Europe. So we're truly the voice of business and industry in Brussels. And of course, of that voice, Cyprus and our Cypriot member is a key voice. To your question, what are sort of the pressing issues for business and industry across Europe? I've traveled across 17 capitals so far this year. For me, it's key to meet the membership, as we do here during these two days in Nicosia. The message is crystal clear, and if I could only use one word, it's regulation, regulation, regulation. We need to unleash the power of businesses across Europe. 99% of our membership is SME, i.e. small and medium-sized companies. They're heavily burdened by an over-bureaucracy, so we need to unleash that power. The second word that would come top of mind, which is related to that, is competitiveness. And those are, of course, highly interlinked. But those two words echo across all of Europe, regardless if you're here in Nicosia, if you're in Helsinki, if you're in Lisboa, it's the same tune that the companies and businesses are singing.
Mm-hmm. So what priorities does EU need to focus on to address these challenges? What more does it need to do? We know the Draghi report, which addressed these issues.
We have two excellent reports in the Draghi report, but we also need to mention the Letta report. Of course, the Draghi report focuses more broadly on the competitiveness challenge, and the Letta report specifically on the diamond of our union, i.e. the single market. The starting point is that Europe has been falling behind. And that did not happen in the last 12 months. It did not happen with the last Commission. It's been happening for decades. So if you would compare the EU growth to the US growth, in the last 3 decades, the EU has grown by more than 100%. The economy has doubled. In the same time, the EU has grown by a mere just above 60%. And that means less money for security, for welfare, and not the least for investments, and investments in research and innovation. And if we don't invest for the future, Europe will be a worse place to live. And that's what we want to protect. And at the heart of a growing and prosperous Europe, it starts with a competitive and growing industry and business. I normally say that if you want a bigger cake, you should talk to the baker. And here we represent the 25 million bakers across Europe. Then you can always talk about the cutting of the cake, but it's always easier to talk about the cutting of the cake if you have a bigger cake.
It seems to me that we have been already talking for a lot of time about the need for simplification.
Yes.
It's a bit contradictory when and how this will be achieved.
The easy answer to that, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen faster. And I think there is always a difference between business and politicians. By default, the political system needs to be a bit slower. And coming from business, we're always frustrated that you need to move faster. But of course, we need to respect the democratic processes we have, which is a pride of Europe. That said, there needs to be an urgency in Brussels. Because if we look at the numbers now, basically European businesses are spending as much adhering to regulation as they're investing in innovation. So the compliance department, the ones filling out the forms, is as big as the department filling out the patent applications. And that cannot go on. So we're not saying that we should have zero regulation. Of course, a sound and solid regulation is at the heart of any union and any nation, but we just need less.
Okay.
And as an example, during the last commission, there were over 13,000 legislative acts approved. 13,000. At the same time, on federal level in the US, it was 3,500. I'm not saying it needs to be 1-to-1, but just look at the numbers. This is it's not reasonable, and it's slowing down business, it's slowing down Europe, and it's not good for us that are living in Europe.
You're here in Cyprus ahead of the Cyprus presidency of the
Yes.
Council of the EU. What do you expect from the Cyprus presidency to do towards those challenges?
We're expecting a lot. I often get the question, do the presidencies of the EU really mean something? And I think that is a valid question we need to ask ourselves. And the follow-up question is always, isn't it only about the big countries? And the answer to that is no and no. It's very much about where we are in time. And Europe is at a crossroads. The Commission has started and set a new narrative where they acknowledge, to your point with Draghi and Letta, we do have a competitiveness problem. They've started to make the right decision, moving in the right direction, but our members and businesses across Europe do not feel it in the everyday business. And until it happens there, it has not happened at all. This is where your presidency enters. And then we're talking about the strange word of omnibus, which is basically saying an initiative to make it easier to run a business in Europe. During the Cypriot presidency, that needs to be pushed forward. So it's not only a huge responsibility, it's a huge opportunity. So the presidency will be extremely important. And then there are small initiatives as well as the e-posting of workers. And they go, can that be important? Of course, it's super important, because if we're not able to travel and work across Europe, we will grow less. And if you compare Europe, and again I compare to the US, it's always a simple comparison. Within the US, 70% of the trade is done between the states. In Europe, where we believe we have a single market, it's only 20%. So we do not trade with each other. We do not travel and work between the countries. And if any country knows the importance of that, it's Cyprus. Because you are a traveling people. You go abroad to get educated. You do business abroad. So I think to bring that understanding to the table as being a small country, but with high ambitions, I think will benefit the EU in a very good way. So I think it's the perfect time to have your presidency. The expectations are high, but coming here and meeting with Cypriot people, I'm positive that this will have a very positive impact on Europe. It will have a positive impact on Brussels.
Is it realistic to expect tangible results until July, until the end of the Cyprus presidency? Do you believe?
Again, a very valid question. Yes, because we cannot wait. I've been president of Business Europe now for 3.5 years, and the only thing I can say is that the world is moving faster than ever. Half a year ago we met in Copenhagen, and I felt now it's moving really fast with what's happening in Asia, with the geopolitics and what's happening in the US. And then when we convene here, it's like, wow, it was really slow then. So it's not only possible, it's needed. and we can take no more excuses from Brussels. Our support will be steadfast, and we will push for this, and we will be happy to work alongside with the presidency and with the support of our member OEB. I'm convinced that we will have an impact that will not surprise me, but maybe will surprise some people in Brussels.
All right.
Yeah.
What key priorities is Business Europe setting for the years to come?
Yeah, so the priorities we will discuss specifically for the upcoming presidency during these 2 days. So I will not divulge those. But if we try to keep it simple, the overriding priorities, again, how can we get more competitive? Number one, we need simplification. Again, we cannot go on investing as much in regulation as we do in research and innovation. So that's number one. Secondly, the diamond of our union, the single market. 20% intra-trade versus 70%. The IMF came out with a survey saying that the barriers we have within the single market currently corresponds to close to a 50% tariff on goods and more than 100% on services. This is self-inflicted. We do not have to negotiate with Beijing or with Washington. This is cleaning up our own house. Imagine the growth, the prosperity, and the competitiveness we can unleash. Then we have a challenge when it comes to the workforce. I mean, if you look at Cyprus, you have a very low unemployment. That will, of course, happen across Europe as well. Until 2050, 35 million Europeans will leave the workforce. So we're going to have a skills challenge with the involvement of AI and technology. So we need to stay ahead when it comes to investing and be able to hire a forward-leaning workforce for the future. That will be key for our members. So I do not think we're going to be talking about high employment and the worry of austerity. We will be fighting to getting the right talent. Then there is, in the short and hopefully only in the short and medium term, a challenge on energy prices. Both China and US are so more competitive when it comes to energy prices. This is a hugely complex question. I wish there was a simple solution, a silver bullet, but this is just hard work and a big amount of action that needs to be taken. But if you try to sort of condense it, it's about tech neutrality. We need all possible energy sources and creating a fossil-free society. We need to improve interconnect between countries. There are initiatives from Cyprus when it comes to gas, and better we have it within Europe than getting it from somewhere else. But of course, to have competitive energy prices is something that is also raised across our membership because it's a short-term and mid-term challenge not to go out of a business. Finally, trade. Our biggest trading partner is the US, and that has been a bit challenging lately. We think that we have an as good agreement as we can with the Americans. Is it perfect? No. Is it balanced? No. But the alternative to end up in a trade war would have been much, much worse for European business. So we need to take well care of that relationship and at the same time offer the possibility to diversify for business. And then I'm talking about the trade agreement with Mercosur in South America, with Mexico, we're talking Indonesia, we're even talking India. So open up alternative. China is, we have a dependency on China. We need to be realistic on that. And we need to have a balanced approach towards China. China is a fast-growing nation. They're extremely long-term in their industrial objectives, and we need to use the toolbox we have in trade defense system, and I think the Commission is using that in an orderly manner. But China will be a combination of opportunities and challenges, so we need to balance that one as well. But to open up, having an ambitious trade agenda, again with Mercosur, Mexico, Indonesia, etc., I think that will help us to balance the relationship with the US, and it will help us to challenge the relationship with China, because then you show that you have options, especially when it comes to rare earth metals. There the Mercosur is super important, as an example.
I wish you the best of luck to your works, the days ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank you for receiving me. And as you can hear, I have high expectations on the upcoming presidency, but I'm also fully confident, given the work I see from our business colleagues at OEB, that this will be a huge success.
I hope we deliver.
No, you will. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.